It's always a great day when we have more Stellar Blade news, and this one is a doozy of an update. Welcome back to the channel, this is Star, and today we have new gameplay, story, and combat details straight from the developers themselves. Fishing? We get to go fishing in this game? This info slipped through the cracks last week when the devs did their press tour. We've got a lot of good stuff in today's video, so make sure you hit the thumbs up button, and let's get right into it. First off, some news that will probably come as a shock to nobody. ESRB finally gave the game its official rating, and they hit Stellar Blade with the M17+, obviously. The main reason listed being close-up shots of impalement, dismemberment, and decapitation.
Very metal.
And also because of the very jiggly physics. This is excellent though, because that means nothing is going to get censored or toned down for the international release. I actually would have been concerned if it got rated T or even lower over here in the States, so this rating is perfect. And we now know we get to witness those jiggly physics in all their 4K glory. The devs had an interview last week with a German publication, Play 3, and they talked a bit about the unique functions of the PS5 that Stellar will use, and the different graphics modes, of which the director confirms 3. A performance mode that offers 60 frames per second for a much smoother gameplay experience, a resolution mode where you can enjoy the sights in 4K, and a balanced mode where it strikes a happy middle ground between the other two. He also said Stellar definitely uses the features of the DualSense controller, the feedback and vibrations, as well as the adaptive triggers that can be used in the third-person shooter mode, and the gamepad's touchpad is also used. Since this game is a PlayStation exclusive for now, it's being developed to work with that hardware, so hopefully playing on resolution mode shouldn't result in too many performance issues. I'll probably still end up playing in performance mode most of the time just for the additional frames. We're probably going to need them going into combat because the developers went a little bit deeper into that aspect of the game. They mentioned how Nier Automata was a major influence during Stellar's development, but there's other games that influenced the combat specifically. If you compare the combat to games other than Nier, then we might be somewhere between Bayonetta, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, or Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. That might make it more understandable when you think about the fights. In games like Sekiro and Fallen Order, a lot of the enemies have a stance meter that can be broken with repeated parries, and the devs confirmed that this is also the case here in Stellar. You can defeat the bosses by using skills well and protecting yourself from the enemies, but then you also have the chance to maybe upset the opponent's balance, and that then leads to the Link ability, which allows you to defeat the enemy in one fell swoop. So the combat is more combo-oriented in the beginning, but as you progress through the game, you learn to parry and dodge, and then you learn different types of skills depending on how you need them. This makes the fight more like a quick and varied melee. That double jump that we see Eve get in the trailer is an example of one of these skills, although I'm more curious about what that Link ability that was mentioned is. I did as much research as I could, but there just isn't any other information on it out there as far as I could tell. It could just be the power move that pops up when you break the enemy's stance meter, or maybe it's some kind of special. The devs did mention that they wanted to show more fights and other gameplay features in the trailers. The game director said, "We weren't able to show as many fights as we could have shown, so we want to show the appeal and charm of the battles we offer in the game." And I think a lot of people know by now that there's going to be a lot of costumes. They're all available either through exploration or by making your own, or by going to the shop and buying them. And besides combat, we also want to focus on other content. For example, you can go fishing, or you can make your own costumes or collect objects. Fishing? We get to go fishing in this game? Just when I thought this couldn't get any more perfect. Now I really hope we get another trailer before release that shows some of that off, and maybe more of the customization too. The devs also explain why they went with a semi-open world game instead of either fully open or completely linear. At the beginning, the game goes in a linear mode, in a straight way, but once you get to a city called Zion, you experience a different part of the semi-open world, and then you can go back to more linear forms of the game, but you experience different variations of this. When it comes to narrative games, a completely open world might be difficult because for the narrative to be the focus, you do need some linear elements in it. They said we didn't want to limit it to a specific genre, but rather combine everything in a balanced ratio and show it all. And all of this was possible thanks to the PlayStation's seriously fast loading capabilities. So you can experience everything seamlessly in the game. In addition, when the game is too linear, you can sometimes focus too much on the coordination of a single element, and that's why we included the city of Zion. There, you can take a break to control the player's attention, and then you can move on to other parts of the game from there. So a bit of a rough translation there, but it sounds like Zion is going to be the main break from the linear flow of the game, by probably giving us a lot of side quests and missions that we have to do. They mention it a bit more in this next part regarding the story, which we haven't heard all that much about yet. It's pretty vague, but it has to be. The director says, "Okay, we'll try not to include any spoilers. As seen in the trailer, the story is about a protagonist who returns to Earth, which was stolen from humanity, in order to reclaim it. As Eve finds and encounters these survivors on Earth, she not only completes her own mission, but also embarks on various missions to help other people, and this is how the game progresses. But in the process, she's confronted with humanity's past, and also with this important truth about the enemy, the Naytiba. She's then confronted with the truth, and then throughout the game she experiences different events and experiences, different thoughts and ideas. That's what we can tell you so as not to give anything away." Super vague, but I get it. Eve, just like the player, starts at the beginning with limited information in a situation where she needs help but has no information. This is how it all begins. She doesn't show that much emotion in the beginning because she's a soldier. She doesn't show that much of her feelings, but over time she interacts with her comrades and other survivors, and they form this solidarity, and as she gradually shows more and more emotions, she also has to choose between certain decisions. The devs were asked if these decisions will affect the outcome of any quests or any part of the story, and they responded by saying, "This may contain some spoilers, so we can't give away too much, but by interacting with the citizens of Zion while going on quests, you can unlock certain systems and information. When you actively play, you can experience an expanded worldview, so depending on the user's choices, you get to see more of this world during the game." That's kind of an interesting way to put it, because to me that sounds like a lot of what they're talking about is optional. You've got the main storyline, but then there's a lot of other side quests and missions that you can do, and by doing those you get to see more of the world overall. That checks out with previous confirmations of the game's roughly 25-hour runtime, with an almost 50-hour completionist time, so there's a good amount of content in there. The developers wrapped up that interview by talking about how much Sony had actually helped them out with this game. There were a lot of discussions about which parts of Stellar Blade will be well received by the users and which parts of the game still needed improvement. They apparently helped a lot with that, which is really nice to hear. Shift Up is better known for their mobile titles, and Stellar is their first ever attempt at making a console game, so the fact Sony was there as a guiding hand without infringing on the creative direction of the game is awesome. Shout out to Sony. And with that, that's actually all the new information we have. I can't believe I did this video in under 10 minutes. I thought it was going to be longer than that. Just 2 more months and we're going to be able to play as Eve and check out all of these gameplay features for ourselves, including fishing. Let's go, baby! If you enjoyed today's commentary, be sure to give the video a like. If you didn't like it, leave a dislike. Either way, consider subscribing to the channel for more Stellar Blade content. This has been Star. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one. Peace!